When the sun began to set about an hour later, you knew it was time to rejoin with everyone else. And so, you eagerly got back into the car again to finally see the second location. Yay! I love this place. You and Cove entered through the main doors and into the reception space. There your friends and family were patiently waiting for this moment. The room filled with familiar cheers, whistles, and applause at your arrival. As the noise lessened, you began to hear various calls of congrats and welcome backs. The love emanating from your friends and family was palpable. Baxter made his way to the center of the room and began to gesture people back. The rest of the staff followed his lead and made space in the crowd. When the path ahead cleared out, you took a deep breath. It was time. The beginning note of your first dance song played. You heard a few of the guests speak in hushed tones, anticipation rising as the melody kicked in. It was slow-paced. So me and my husband's first dance was 1,000 Years by Christina Perri, in case you guys are curious. Cove met your eyes as ready as he could be, and you took his hands. You heard the high-pitched whine of a microphone and saw Baxter smiling.
And now, the couple will have their first dance.
You eagerly led Cove to the dance floor, mood still sky high. Cove did his best to remember the motions that were meant to go with the rhythm of the track. His long, deliberate steps were very careful to not land anywhere near your toes. Thank you.
Your moves were amazing.
You know what? I was fine. It doesn't have to be amazing. It was fine. You kept up with the music, enjoying Cove's determination to stick to the routine. You stopped deliberately, letting the beat dictate the move in that. The familiar melody helped you dance nicely. Were you perfect? You doubted it. What mattered most was Cove's hand in yours and his grin as he tried to keep up. The two of you gallivanted across the floor, hearts pounding and expressions bright. Eventually, Cove was able to get in the flow. His body relaxed, and you could see the confidence slowly ease into him. Softly, he took a moment to speak to you.
This is the first moment to ourselves since we've arrived.
Cove clearly was grateful for the chance to finally talk to you.
You're beautiful.
You too! No one is more lovely than you. You too! He truly looked designed in his suit. Cove flushed a light rosy pink and beamed at you. Let's see. This makes me think of the Orca fundraiser dinner. This makes me think of that night at the Orca fundraiser dinner. Yeah, makes me think of that night at the Orca fundraiser dinner. Cove's expression became wistful with old memories.
Me too.
I was thinking of that too. I remember exactly how it felt, dancing with you years ago. I had a lot of hopes then. I wanted it to last forever. But I also desperately wanted to skip ahead so that I'd know what things would be like for us in the future. And now actually we're here. We made it.
Cove sighed dreamily as he looked into your eyes.
Oh, thank God the ceremony is over and we can just be married now.
No, I feel you. That's exactly how I felt too. It's just like, now we're married. It's done. Phew.
Not that the wedding is bad.
He winced as soon as he realized how his words sounded. He shook his head.
I just kept thinking that I'd ruin something or something terrible would happen. At this point, a truck full of apples could come through and destroy dinner and I wouldn't care.
I'm touched that you wouldn't get depressed over missing out on the meal. But honestly, I feel the same way. You lightly brushed against him as he moved in the dance. It comforted you that he shared your thoughts. Then the music reached a bridge of the song with complex choreography. Both of you had to focus more on the dance. That stopped your conversation in its tracks. The two of you became absorbed into dancing once more as the song's end grew closer and closer. The final note was struck, and... yeah, Doug dipped me at the end, so Cove, dip me please. Cove's dip was slightly awkward due to the height difference between you two. Come on, girl, wear heels to your wedding. Come on now. He had to arch his back to get you down lower than you already were compared to him. That's so funny. He made it work though, yeah. At least I didn't. Hold on. I need to do this for science. Like, what happens if you try to dip him? I'm so tiny. Cove had to bend his knees to help with the dip due to the height difference between you two. You made it work though. Oh my goodness. How come he had to work harder than I did? Cove's lips brushed over your ear.
You're a really good partner.
Your face felt hot, and it wasn't only from the dancing. You heard a clap that steadily transformed into wild applause. Turning to face the crowd, you looked over your friends and family cheering. Did my own mini celebration dance. Your arms pumped in the air and you wiggled your hips in a happy shimmy. You jumped back around to see Cove. He had a smile wide on his face. Cove continued to watch you rather than switching his attention to the guests. He twisted his wedding band bashfully around his finger. With the first dance done, you both left the open floor to join the others and properly greet your seated guests. Cove offered you his arm to take once more. I will take a hold of your arm. Your arm wrapped around his, fitting as snugly together as matching pieces of a puzzle. It was a hold that could not easily be broken. Physically and legally linked to the other, you and Cove went forward as one. After only a few strides, you'd arrived at the nearest table in the arrangement. It had close family all the way around, including your mom and ma. The two had scooted their chairs closer and were eagerly whispering to one another, trading words of excitement back and forth. Feeling awkward about having to interrupt, though realizing there's no reason to feel that way, Cove cleared his throat to announce your and his presence.
Hey.
Ooh! Mamas! You guys look lovely! Beautiful! Snapping out of their private fervor, your parents turned the enthusiasm straight towards the two of you. I'm gonna give you guys a hug! The two leaned into your shoulders, returning the embrace. After keeping hold long enough to be warmed up by the shared body heat, you let go in order to stand up straight.
Hello.
Kiddos! It's great to finally get to talk to you today.
Ma folded her hands together on the tabletop daintily and followed Mom with her own greeting.
Congratulations to you both. It's so good to see you today.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course.
The ceremony was beautiful. You sure nailed the theming with that venue. Mm-hmm. Absolutely incredible.
All the effort paid off then. Hearing people actually discuss the wedding as a real event, Cove became tongue-tied. Your ma watched over the both of you with a gaze as doting as it was knowing.
Have fun.
Have fun greeting everyone else. We'll be here if you need us. Lonnie's right. We can entertain ourselves while you're busy with your big day.
You're lucky you have such lovely children. I love you, moms.
Thanks again. Moms?
Stop, that's so cute. Ma's fingers squeezed together even more tightly, a visual representation of the restraint she was exerting not to cheer inappropriately loudly. While Ma attempted to not spook Cove after his tepid attempt to use the new title, Mom had no qualms saying something embarrassing.
Woohoo! We got upgraded! It's about time! Pam?
Cove's gaze immediately dropped to his feet, and his near constant flush from the day reappeared. You gave your husband a reassuring pat on the arm, proud and pleased at his braveness.
Okay, bye.
Cove scuttled off, needing an escape, and you gave your parents a wave as you stuck by him.
Goodbye. Good luck out there.
You and Cove's moms resumed their schoolgirl-style chatting in good cheer. Located at the same table were Cove's parents. They were taking it easy, until Cliff noticed you and Cove had eyes on him. Hey, looking good with the yellow tie, Cliff. His grin ramped up to 1,000 watts.
Hey!
It's our local celebrities of the day.
Cliff folded his arms, self-satisfied.
The wedding's all been going to plan, I'm pretty sure. But I'll keep watch still. And if there's anything else I can do, just give me a shout.
Cove brightened in a similar way. His tone was full of affection for his father.
Hi, Dad. And thanks.
I'm hugging everybody today. You can't stop me. It was tricky to weave through the space, but you were able to get in arm's reach of Cliff. He opened up his arms wide for you and then squeezed you back. Soon you had to get out from behind chairs and other guests, so you let Cliff go and nudged your way over to Cove again. Cliff slyly winked, waving you and Cove off.
Right.
I don't have to hog you. Everyone wants to see you. Okay, see you later.
Bye, Dad. A loud gasp escaped Cliff. He glanced over at Cove for his reaction. He grinned sweetly with misted eyes, agreeing wholeheartedly with your statement. Now all that was needed was to see if you'd get Cliff's own acceptance. You didn't have to wait long for it. Overwhelmed with emotion, his voice squeaked at first, but he barely noticed. He was beaming with joy.
Of course! I don't know how I ended with 2 kids as good as you.
Cliff surveyed his 2 children proudly, with his chest puffed out.
I have to say, well, actually, I'll say it a little later. You'll have to wait for my big speech. Here it comes. Get ready, Molly.
Come on.
It's gonna be great. Now go on.
You're an amazing dad.
You're amazing yourself.
Then, finally, you rounded the table's edge and reached the side where Kyra sat. She was patiently sipping at a steaming cup of coffee, placing it down when she noted it was time for the meet and greet with the 2 of you.
Hey.
Oh my goodness. How are you just so beautiful every time I see you in something that dress is so good on you? You look so beautiful, Mom 3. Hello, babies. I'm hugging everybody! It took some stretching, but you were able to gain enough access to Kyra's space in order to give her a solid hug. She put her arms around your shoulders gladly. You shared that affectionate touch for a moment and then shifted yourself back up.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming. It's really nice to see you.
It's fantastic to be here. This has been wonderful. Also, that was a marvelous dance. Such an incredible way to make an entrance. And I'm impressed you found this place. Talk about the perfect locale for my little ocean man. I like the fish. Ko kicked the tip of his shiny shoes at nothing in particular, and his shoulders shifted from side to side shyly. Ko was forever incapable of seeming like a full-grown man in front of his mom. Kyra's brows bent as she looked on at him adoringly. But then she shut her eyes and brought out more energy.
See you soon.
I'll see the 2 of you again soon. You should go explore the rest of your exquisite reception.
Oh, alright. We probably should do that. Bye.
Bye, Mom. She froze for a split second. Just Mom? Not Mom 3? Her hand flew to her mouth as her gaze landed back on you. Slowly, she lowered it, revealing the widest smile you'd ever seen on her face. In her gentlest tone, Kyra cooed. Goodbye, baby. Ko was positively melting from happiness seeing you and your shared mom speak to one another that way. You're wonderful, Mom 3. And so are you. Then you had to continue on to the next table in the seating arrangement. There were still guests waiting to see the both of you. You had a pleasant conversation with your aunt and uncle on Mom's side. They couldn't have been more pleased that you had found someone who made you as happy as Cove did. Right by was their daughter, your cousin, as well as your older sister. They were throwing looks, not so subtly waiting to speak their piece, but didn't interrupt your chat with other family. There they are, looking lovely. But when it was officially their turn, the ladies placed down glasses of juice and put on matching curved smiles. Ko shifted on his feet embarrassedly. They didn't even need to say anything. I'm hugging you! You were able to shimmy around the furniture to get yourself behind both. You then wrapped your arms across their backs. Lee squished against you while giggling, and Liz gave a true big sibling ruffle on the top of your head. After the embrace, you slipped out from between them to head over to Cove again. We did good work, didn't we? It's nice to be able to relax after all the preparations.
Totally.
Everything went incredibly! You're both beautiful, and it was just touching and amazing and perfect! Cove laughed airily. Lee's energy levels were as high as ever.
Hello to you too.
Lee chimed up once more, placing a hand to her forehead and leaning against Liz for support.
Aww.
It's so romantic how you got married on the hill where you met.
Oh? I didn't even know you knew that. Only our parents were there.
It's pretty common Wave Rider family lore. I also know that's where you met, and so did half the rest of the crowd. Cove tilted his head bashfully, realizing it was probably a little dumb to not realize other people had found out about that.
Well, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. You must be relieved there were no accidental drownings with those waterworks going off during the ceremony. Lee couldn't suppress a snicker. Cove, on the other hand, pouted indignantly. To be serious for a moment, you sensitive souls did very well with those vows.
Thanks for all that, and everything. It was nice to see you.
Aww.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
And thanks for coming to see us on your wedding tour.
Bye.
You know, one of these days you're gonna run out of ways to tease us. Don't count on it. With everyone at that spot properly greeted, you and your husband began to stroll along to the next one. One of the more boisterous tables had Derek, Terry, and Miranda huddled together. They were celebrating wholeheartedly.
Hi, everybody.
That pleasant greeting was paired with a little wave. Your friends turned in unison after realizing you were there. Then the trio of buddies lifted cups full of juice and cheers to you and Cove.
What's up?
Hey, looking good, everybody. Derek, you look amazing in green.
And congratulations.
Thanks.
Hi, thank you for letting us come. Are you kidding, Miranda? Like, you had to be here. You were my bridesmaid.
Hey, congrats you two.
Hugs for everybody! Each person waited patiently to stretch their arms to you as you came to their sides one by one. You received your 3 warm hugs and then returned to Cove's side. In a tiny voice, Miranda began to fawn over you and Cove. I wanted to say I thought your vows were beautiful.
Yeah.
I was so emotional. Still, not as much as those two, though. It touched the whole crowd, I'm sure.
And you know it's cool how you were able to make a wedding that seemed fancy, but is still so comfy. Cove shyly basked in the affection of his closest friends, sucking it up like a delicate sapling in the sunshine.
Thanks, and thanks for coming.
Come on.
Dude, I wouldn't have missed it.
We had to be. Cove and Molly are having their wedding. It's momentous. We're really enjoying the reception. Don't worry about us if you have to go do important bride and groom stuff.
I appreciate that. It's weird to say, but we do have important bride and groom stuff to do today.
We're greeting all the guests right now.
Uh-huh. We'll see you later, though.
Bye.
See you later.
Safe travels. Enjoy yourselves.
I won't tease them. Thank you for everything. Miranda and Derek awed as Terry wiped a dramatic imaginary tear from his eye.
Thanks, Molly.
Of course. Cove skipped ahead, buoyed by the brief but fun interaction, and you went right along with him. The next table along the path was filled up with friends you and Cove had made in your adult years, as well as one much older acquaintance. A person you'd known since some of your earliest childhood days, with all the ups and downs that such a long relationship entails. Oh my god, did Shiloh actually come? What happened to his hair? Shiloh? What happened to your hair? Nice hat. I'm happy you're wearing a hat, but man, I was not ready for blonde Shiloh. Shiloh Fields, or Shy, as he was usually called by people. Dressed in minimally formal attire with a brand new hat attached to his now blonde hair, he had settled himself right. His arms were folded comfortably in front of him, his back slunk down against the chair. He wasn't participating in the conversation, but the side-eye expression on his face gave you the impression that he was listening in to what others were discussing. I don't know if I like that face. He shifted his gaze from the other guests at the arrival of the two of you, smiling restrainedly. There was a distance that you hadn't felt since he was a child picking Lizzie's attention over yours.
Congratulations, you finally got married.
Thank you.
I am curious, why did you accept the invitation? Do I ask that though at this? You know what? I'm gonna ask this and I'm gonna come back because I would never, but me, the player, am curious. Why did you accept the invitation? He smiled in an uncharacteristically wry way, though at this point you didn't know him well enough to judge what was characteristic of him now.
Why not see who everyone grew up to be?
Shiloh's scaring me, guys. I'm a little scared. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I know I was saying I'm gonna hug everybody, but I am actually kind of terrified. How would he react if I hugged him? Cautious hug. Very, very cautious. Don't jostle the shy low. It just suddenly occurred to me why he's called Shy. Short for Shiloh. Ugh. Leisurely, he embraced you back, draping one of his arms around your neck, pretending to choke you.
It was nice of you to come. I'm sure you're busy?
Yeah, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime event. It was so nice of you to let me come to it.
Even if that might be sarcasm, we're generous to give him a chance. I'm so confused. What happened in the years? What did I do to Shiloh? I don't think about that. I'm gonna give you a warning. You better be nice to my sister. He didn't even respond. Shiloh just rolled his eyes defensively. Awkwardly, Cove attempted to carry on the conversation further, but the list of topics he knew of to discuss with Shiloh was severely limited.
Yeah, so... have you said hi to Liz yet?
No. She can come over here to me if she wants to talk. I'm not going to her today.
You know what, fair. A visible twinge went down Cove's body. Shiloh kicked his social discomfort into overdrive.
Okay. You're not gonna live tweet our wedding, are you?
Shiloh let the lids of his eyes drop lower and looked over your husband in amused disbelief.
Weddings aren't my bag, and even I'm not shameless enough to act like the center of attention is just a guest at someone else's reception.
Cool? Cool.
That was as much as Cove could carry on his own, and he sent over a look your way hoping for assistance. Why did you have to wear that hat to our wedding? He's got a girlfriend? Who's the girlfriend? Also, you dyed your hair. Okay, I have so many questions. Okay, I'm gonna do the hair dye, and then I have to ask about the girlfriend.
Wow, I haven't had anyone mention that before.
He spoke automatically. It had to be his default reaction to anyone who called out how he's changed.
Well, it looks good.
Oh, that got Shiloh to fold his arms again as he turned his face away bashfully.
I've heard that one before, too.
That almost looks like a sincere blush, which is interesting. Oh, I can do more. Oh, sweet. How's the vlogging thing going?
Better than I bet you're guessing. Look up my stats if you're wondering.
Okay. Is your girlfriend well? He pulled back from you, shifting in his seat. It was obvious why, and his cheeks had unwillingly turned red.
She's good.
Okay. I don't know what to make of this Shiloh. He's very angsty, but also more sincere? It's weird. Anyway, I'm relieved to see you still got a hat.
Lucky you, I still wear them.
You chuckled satisfactorily. Shiloh wouldn't be Shiloh without a hat, even if some people only know him as Shy. And I will leave the conversation there. We left it on a good note. You'd already asked everything you could think of, and he didn't expand much beyond them. Shiloh's gaze shifted casually between you and Cove. He could read the situation. Your chat was coming to an end. He finished off the reunion bittersweetly.
Well, that's done, huh? We're adults, so you don't have to hang out with me all day anymore. Congrats on your big day, and go have fun with your nice friends. You deserve it.
Aw. Interesting. Yeah, I should have given up on that relationship sooner. Yeah. Oddly enough, this felt like one of our more sincere interactions, even though he's like very snarky. So it's interesting. You hoped that he agreed.
Thank you.
Cove was at a loss on what to think of the man he'd known since he was 8 years old. Thanks. Take care of yourself. You and Cove took a moment to say hello to the rest of the guests at the table. Shiloh didn't interrupt or engage further at all before you moved on to another section. You took a minute to scan across the rest of the tables and the guests seated at them. You were able to recognize everyone who had gathered there that day, but you did notice an absence. A gentle poke pushed against your shoulder. Smiling, Cove took his poking finger and used it to point out in the distance. Hovering around the fringe of the venue space was a pale, miserable face dressed all in gray. To anyone else, it may have been a sight that had turned you cold, a harbinger of misfortune. But for Cove, the little rain cloud brought a warmth to his heart. Oh good, I'm glad Jeremy came.
He came.
You didn't have to look for long until Jeremy happened to glance your way. Eye contact was made across the floor. Jeremy visibly sighed, making enough of a show of it for you to tell even from afar. He then briskly walked forward. Oh my goodness! Wow. Jeremy. Looking good, my dude. He only stopped when he solidly placed his feet right in front of you and Cove. Happy wedding, you insane people. Why did you invite me to this? I had to see what would happen. This is a happy wedding. Okay, I'm gonna ask the same thing I asked Shiloh, then I'm gonna come back here and say, oh, that's such a happy wedding. Why did you come? Because you invited me? I don't know why I have to explain that. Alright. Because I wanted you here. Thank you for coming. He snorted through his nose, adding an uncomfortable huff for good measure. Alright, come here, you. Bring it in. Ah! His face like... Ugh. It took a second for reality to strike him, but you knew as soon as it did because he let out a whispered screech that was akin to a hiss. Let me go! Jeremy completely wilted, scrubbing at himself to try removing the warmth of your arms from his skin. I'm sorry, are you okay? Jeremy couldn't handle all the affection and wasn't able to meet your eyes when he groaned his answer. Whatever. Cove watched the interaction joyfully. There would always be a spot in Cove's life for the difficult man in front of him.
Thanks so much for coming. It wouldn't have been the same without you.
True. It would have been better.
Well, it's nice of you to want to come to share the suffering.
Misery loves company. He was sarcastic, but it was far more playful than dismissive. So you should come visit more often. He smirked teasingly.
I hope that won't end up happening, but I've never been lucky.
And is Pran doing well? That was a rare subject that could draw out Jeremy's very limited soft side. He smiled without sarcasm.
He actually is. It's better every day since we graduated. He's a nicer guy than me again.
That's so great. Are you ever gonna let us see a picture or something? Maybe put him on a call with you?
Nope. He thinks it's funny that you've only ever heard of him secondhand.
That definitely sounds like Pran.
Aww.
But he did say congratulations for getting married to the strange people in a completely different town who won't leave me alone.
Thanks, Pran.
Yeah, tell him thanks from us. The delicate sweetness he showed dried up. He was finished being caring.
Whatever.
And how are your classes going?
They're a pain, but it's infinitely better than high school.
All right. He crossed his arms as his eyes drifted over the scene, searching for something. In a low mumble, he changed the subject.
I guess this is one of the better functions I've had to attend.
As opposed to Jeremy's murmur, Cove shouted,
You're saying something nice about our wedding?
that had left Cove flabbergasted, but Jeremy kept his lukewarm stance.
It's not earth-shattering.
Are pigs flying? I appreciate that, Jeremy. Jeremy sunk into himself again. This time he brought flushed cheeks with him. But suddenly, a derisive voice broke through the tiny party of three you had going. Oh no, he found him.
Hey, you got a little taller, huh?
Jeremy didn't even react, entirely comfortable writing off whoever that was as someone speaking to you or Cove. Yeah, I mean, Jeremy did grow. Shiloh proved that assumption dead wrong by joining the bunch, taking the spot right by Jeremy's side. Seeing his freckled face immediately got Jeremy's hackles up.
Ah, reunited again. Wonderful.
His sharp eyes scrutinized the person Shiloh had grown to be for only a cursory minute before shifting his gaze to the two of you, entirely unimpressed.
You had to invite both of us?
Cove didn't have any explanation. He could only shrug out of awkwardness. Cove wanted to invite you, and I wanted to invite Shiloh.
So, you recognize me. I figured you wouldn't be that oblivious.
Bleaching your hair isn't a disguise, Shiloh. And neither is just changing the type of hat you wear to something stupider when you're the guy who's known for always wearing hats.
His bone-dry tone of voice dissolved into an acidic sarcasm.
If you had taken that absurd thing off, maybe you would have fooled me.
Shiloh shot back equally caustically.
Always the super smart one, aren't you, Jeremy?
Yup. That's why we never got along in high school.
Your sensitive husband rapidly looked back and forth between the two men, in distress over Jeremy's potential distress. But you weren't the only one who caught the anxiety coming off of Cove, as Shiloh began to speak directly to him.
This is normal group activities. It's how we talk to each other.
It's true. They're actually being very friendly.
That's right. You just used to hide it under a fake, sickeningly sweet facade.
I can still pull it off if you missed that.
Jeremy brought out as much visible disinterest as someone can intentionally bring before tipping over into discomfort.
I don't.
Good, because I wasn't going to. If you want that, you'll have to break into your imitation of it.
Much to his great displeasure, Jeremy momentarily cracked a smile. He used his genuine annoyance at that to flip his glower on so fast and furiously you would have missed the change if you'd blinked. Shiloh quietly looked over Jeremy. His eyes were fixed as if he was seeing him there for the first time. There was a pause, and Cove held his breath. Shiloh then flippantly threw his hands up to his shoulder line.
Alright, I don't like to do this, but I'm not going to find someone else in my life who could comprehend what I'm going through with my mother and Lynn except you.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. What is going on with that?
Wait, Lynn? Nurse Lynn, our group supervisor, and your mom?
As much as Jeremy was put off by the conversation, that was enough to stir up some intrigue.
Let's talk, Jer. I'll get you a drink.
I mean, we have juice.
Shiloh, you are one notch above Everett in terms of tolerability to listen to, though lower in terms of generally being a good person. Don't ruin that by acting like Mr. Ego, too. You're already giving him a run for his money with that dye job.
Shiloh almost knocked his own hat off with how dramatically he startled back from such a suggestion.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to upset you.
Shiloh's cheeks burned up with their classic red shade as he lowered his head coyly.
I hope we can still hang out together.
There was a scoff and a roll of his eyes from Jeremy's sheer disgust at Shiloh's change of tune. Every note of it was sour in his ears.
Gross. Can you find a third personality somewhere?
That made Shiloh chuckle. The light bent of the tone was undecipherable. It could have been coming from an affection for Jeremy's prickly attitude, or amusement from getting under his skin, or something else.
You could find out.
Jeremy's brows twitched, and his frown pressed deeper into his cheeks, confused and frustrated over what was unfolding. But he still did it. Jeremy gave a slight nod to count as a goodbye and stalked off towards the drinks counter. His old groupmate followed behind step for step. Shiloh waved nonchalantly without turning back to face you. Having spent the entire exchange as an observer, Cove recalled that he could speak and sputtered out his own goodbye.
Oh, bye? Thanks for coming.
You better have brought a gift. Enjoy the party if you can. Those two. Man, what a blast from the past. It's so funny seeing the two of them interact again. Nurse Lynn and Shiloh's mom, eh? Okay. Well, to be a fly on the wall for that conversation. Cove's daze from the encounter continued to linger, and he watched them go with a bemused expression. He literally shook it off by shifting the upper half of his body side to side, then he spoke lightheartedly.
That could have gone worse.
They could still ruin it. I'm glad we invited them, and I'm glad they came. Cove lifted his shoulders unsurely, but the smile on his face was content. It was what it was. Table to table, you continued to greet each attendee of your wedding. From family who flew in from Hawaii to be there, to those who lived right by your place, you appreciated everyone who took the time to come celebrate this day. There was so much love to go around, every conversation was just as enjoyable as the last. The one person you hadn't seen during your rounds made himself known when Baxter's voice echoed out through the space, amplified by a microphone.
Good evening. Thank you all for attending the wedding of Molly and Cove Holden.
Exciting.
We will now begin the bouquet toss.
A smattering of applause and light murmurs followed the announcement. Baxter let that settle before continuing.
Cove, Molly, please come to the open area in the center. Anyone who wants to play can.
I can't wait to see who catches this. You and your husband eagerly obliged to start the tradition, going over to stand alone on the cleared floor. But it wasn't for long. Lee hopped out of her seat right away, taking Liz by the arm to bring her along for the ride. Your sister wasn't as impossibly excited as your cousin, but she was intrigued. Miranda rose to her feet as well, her boyfriend pumping her up to win the whole walk over. She giggled bashfully and waved at Terry while waiting in the forming crowd. Derek decided to get in on things as well, grinning amusedly among the rest of the players. Shiloh pointedly took a seat at his table with a freshly obtained drink. He then looked the other way, fully ignoring the game. Bleh. Jeremy was standing, but watched from a great distance, very much not close enough to be considered a part of the crowd. Kyra looked at the group, taking a second to consider it, but ultimately she became another member of the game. Hooray! She strolled over to the collection of younger folks and called out for Cliff to join with her.
Come on.
Don't be such a snore! He shook his head, sinking lower into the chair. Lee, Miranda, Kyra, and Liz all began to wave and jump, encouraging Cliff. Terry spoke up from the next table over.
You can do it, man!
Right.
He used the edge of the table to push out his chair and stood up. The ladies cheered as Cliff strode towards the crowd. Your moms giggled, leaned closer together, and whispered amongst one another. They were eager to be audience members to the spectacle. And no one else motioned to join, so Baxter kept things moving.
Thank you for grouping up in such a timely manner. We've got a wonderful crowd for this. Now keep your eyes on Molly. She will be tossing the bouquet in only a moment. Molly, all you need to do is look the other way and throw the bouquet to the awaiting audience. Cove can stand by.
As instructed, you turned your back to the crowd. Cove took his place in front of you. His shoulders were drawn in out of a sympathetic tenseness for your task.
They're definitely ready for you, Molly.
Thanks. The room became silent as you wound up for the toss. You paused, and then... Steady throw, delicate throw, tricky side shot. Attempted a good throw, but it awkwardly flailed. Toss it as high as you could. You hurled it back as fast as you could. Just a solid, steady throw. A flurry of heel clattering, jewelry clinking, and lighthearted yells burst into the space. The bouquet would land in seconds, and the crowd was vying for that prize. The clamor rapidly reached its peak volume, with nearly everyone in the crowd either gasping or cheering. The game had ended. You took a glance over your shoulder to see what the results were. And... Ooh! Kyra! Congratulations! Kyra stood stunned in the middle of the crowd. She had a bouquet in her hands. A pink tinge flushed over her cheeks as it fully sunk in. I didn't think I'd win!
Why not? You're always good at things.
Aww. Your planner took to the mic again to make the results official.
Bravo.
Stunning work by our winner, Kyra.
I'm glad somebody got it. Dang, that's not who I was aiming for. Yay! There was laughter all around. Your guests were good sports. Good.